Oh wow, there's like a mirror. Oh my god, that's peak narcissism right there. By the time I post this video, it will probably be mid-year of 2020, but in actuality, as of filming this, it is November 2019. So this is kind of a blast from the past for you guys, but for me, this is present day. And present day has been kind of weird. This is the last week that I have at my current job before I fly out to San Francisco next week for my new job at Twitter. I'm supposed to spend this time preparing for a move across the country, but instead I am here in Atlanta because the same day that I got accepted for that Twitter job, I also got an email from YouTube where they wanted to bring me into Atlanta and film an episode of their BookTube series where I get to interview David Sedaris. When a lot of good things happen to me, my brain gets suspicious because it's not used to all that serotonin. And so I try to think, okay, what could go wrong? How can this fall apart? I will give some context with how this even began. I got this random email from YouTube where they invited me out to Atlanta for this specific week. I have never read any of David Sedaris' work, so I had to do my research. It was not required for you to read all of his books. Technically, you are only supposed to read Calypso, but I went ahead and just borrowed a whole bunch of books from my library, which are Dress Your Family. There is this one chapter where he talks about how he got this stomach virus and he spent the whole week traveling back and forth to different book signings, being afraid that he would shit his pants in front of everybody. Hashtag relatable. And then after the poo-poo chapter, then he starts talking about his sister's suicide. So it was a mixture of serious shit and actual shit. And I liked that because in life, you have both of those things. These books belong to one of my coworkers, Matt, who is a huge fanboy of David Sedaris. So I told him that I would bring along his books and get David to sign it. But what he does not know is that I bought this copy of Calypso so that David could sign it to Matt. And so before I leave for San Francisco for my new job, I can give this to Matt as a farewell gift to him. The YouTube team also started preparing the logistics for the trip. They set up the flight for me. They set up the hotel for me. They're covering all of these expenses as well, which is really nice. Probably because they knew my cheap ass wouldn't have done it. I had to prepare for the interview by submitting my questions ahead of time, but the producer read the questions and she suggested that I should have a segment called Lightning Round where I just shoot a whole bunch of questions to David and he tries to answer them as quickly as possible. So last night they emailed me all of the information that I need. I hope I'm allowed to show this, but here we go. So it has info on where the shooting will take place, what is the background of it, what is the sequence of events where we get to do a meet and greet with the crew, we get to do a rehearsal, then we have lunch. We have little bios of the participants. So this is the moderator, Joel Kim, and there's me. I recognize this picture. It is taken from a thumbnail for one of my videos, which means that some poor soul had to go through all of my shitty videos and try to find some decent looking photo from there. We have Jake Roper, who is a general YouTuber, and then we have another booktuber, which is Francina Simone. Francina and I are gonna share an Uber in a couple of hours when we meet with the producers over dinner. We decided to do this so that it would decrease our chances of getting killed. Just girly things, you know? So now we get to the main content, which are the topics and questions that we are gonna ask David. It's sectioned by different subjects like childhood and family, career, culture, process, takeaways. I've highlighted the specific questions that I'm going to ask him and they pulled it directly from the list of questions that I gave them. This is the list of questions that I had submitted to them, and this is probably why they were like, okay, this bitch talks too much. Let's give her the lightning round. Then we have intro questions where we basically film our reactions to meeting David before and after. So this was on the email. I decided to print it out and try to prepare my brain to be somewhat professional. I will go ahead and bring the camera along with me as I get dinner with the team and film with the team, and I'll try to document as much as I can legally. Guess what? I ended up not filming anything from the dinner with the producers because I'm an awkward bitch. So I'm gonna fill this empty space with additional footage of the hotel that I stayed at. Remember when hotels used to be a thing before 2020 broke down and took apart entire industries, and now we're all stuck at home staring at the same four walls? Yeah, me neither. Anyway, I'm gonna hand this back to Cindy from the past. It took forever for Francina and I to even find the restaurant. We were walking around the building, we were going downstairs, we were going upstairs, and we still couldn't find the damn place. And we were both geographically challenged, so it was both of us combining our two brain cells together and hoping we could figure it out. But we didn't, because we still didn't find the restaurant. And we were already like 10 minutes late, so I looked at Francina and I was like, dude, they are gonna regret putting minorities on this damn show. We were able to run into the showrunner and the producer, and they showed us the corner where the restaurant was tucked in. And so we met up with the crew and we got dinner. It was nice. We just made conversation with everyone. We talked about how long we've been doing YouTube, which for me is only been a year and a half, maybe. Something that I've realized from being around these people is that YouTube is like a legit thing for them. Jake is the host and producer of this whole entertainment network on YouTube, which is how he got on this show. Francina's agent was the one who connected her to this episode, which is how she got on this show. And then Joel, the moderator, is an actual comedian and writer who's written for Netflix, which is why he's on here. And so I'm just like, what the fuck am I doing here? It was great getting to listen to everyone talk about what they're doing with YouTube and the brands that they're building up. But I couldn't help but feel out of place because YouTube has not really been a job for me. I have my main job, and I always viewed YouTube as kind of this escapism. And it's very weird for me to try to view it as a professional or as a content creator in the industry, because I'm still in this mindset where I just want to do this for fun, and I happen to get money on the side, but it's not like a full-time gig. Something that I realized from my conversation at the dinner table was that I brought up the topic of comment threads on YouTube videos because I was saying that comments are actually my favorite part of uploading a video. That's what I always look forward to whenever I put together a video. I really like seeing people's reactions to it. I like seeing the stupid jokes that people make about it. I like seeing people roast me in the comments. It's a lot of fun for me. The producer of the show was saying that she found this to be such a unique part of BookTube because usually on YouTube, comments are seen as the worst part of the platform. People view it as the commonplace where there is a cesspool of hate and anonymous vitriol, when really for the most part, it is the total opposite on BookTube. It really made me appreciate the kind of platform that we are on, where for the most part, people are super supportive. And to that point, Francina pointed at me and said that she felt like I had the best engagement that she's seen on BookTube. I guess I just got so used to it that I didn't even think much of it, but the engagement that I've had on my videos and the comments that I've received and the messages that I've received are really extraordinary, because it's not just people saying, haha, cool video. It's people going along with my jokes or making new jokes with it or writing essays in it. I really like how it feels like we can just have a conversation with one another. And if I experience something, whether it's via reading a book or going through this kind of experience, you are kind of experiencing it along with me and providing commentary along the way. It's an interesting dynamic, and it's something that I hadn't really thought about before because I was so used to it. But now that I'm realizing it, I am appreciating it even more. So basically, this is just my cheesy way of saying, if you are watching this and you regularly comment or just regularly watch my videos, thanks for sticking around for whatever reason and engaging with me. I think it's for that reason that I even ended up here in the first place, even though I don't have an agent or YouTube isn't my full-time job. So I am very, very grateful for this opportunity. I'm just here to make dumb videos, and you're just here to be entertained for a few minutes, and that's all there is to it. We don't need to complicate it with business or numbers or anything like that. Maybe other people want to do that because that's their job, and that's totally fine. But you and me, we're just here to be trolls. Tomorrow, I am gonna get picked up with the rest of the crew to go at our filming location and finally meet David Sedaris. Good morning. It is the day of filming. A car is gonna pick me up in an hour from the hotel to drive me to the set. Before the trip, I had to send a couple of wardrobe options, and the one that they want me to wear is this one because the rest of my clothes are pretty much all black, and they were like, No, you gotta wear some color. So I'm editing this right now, and the contrast between how nice and polished I looked here compared to 2020, where I've been wearing nothing but the same clothes and growing out my armpit hair, is so vast that it's like I'm looking at Cindy from a different universe. I hate this timeline. Get me out of here. Anyway, let me recap what happens when we got on set. So we arrived to the location where we stayed in the back room while the crew was setting up the set. We got our makeup done, and the makeup artist asked me if she could pluck my eyebrows, and I said sure. So now thanks to her, I have 2 eyebrows instead of 1. We also got cards that had the questions that we submitted to the show ahead of time, but they were laid out into different categories, so we had to make sure to remember these questions by the time it came to filming. Considering I have the memory of a goldfish, I was really worried I would have a brain fart and just forget everything, but fortunately we had rehearsals and camera tests, so we got to practice before David finally arrived. 3 of us just finished filming with David Sedaris, and we had such a fun time.
He's hilarious.
I don't know why, but after that experience, I felt so pleased and at ease with him, and I think it's because he's so easygoing.
He has like a really good aura.
Yes, he does have good vibes.
Yeah.
He's got some good vibes.
And he's a whole fucking mood though.
Did you have fun?
Oh my god. I'm just eating in the background. Why is the angle so wide? I had a great time. It was really fun to meet David Sedaris. I thought, as you guys said, he had good energy.
Yeah.
He had a good vibe. He felt very comfortable, felt very honest and open, not forced. It was nice.
I'm so glad I got to meet you, like, in person. Oh. I'm so glad I got to experience this with you and see all sides of you that I wouldn't have.
Oh my god, you're the best. Her entire segment, fucking hilarious. I was dying in the background. Joel even like cackled all the way out loud.
All right.
Everybody turned and was like,
name a more iconic background.
Smash that like button.
After we finished filming the individual segments, we wrapped up shooting and were invited to see David Sedaris do a show later that night at the Fox Theater. They let us bring a +1 to the show, and I had been texting Sarah from Sarah without an H because she lives in Atlanta and wanted to meet up. So we were actually already making dinner plans, but then I was like, hey, I know we're already going to be meeting each other for the first time tonight, but you also want to be my +1 to a fancy show in a theater? So that was just like a really cool way of meeting an online friend for the first time. The line stretched all the way around the theater venue, which Sarah said she had never seen before, even though she's been to a couple shows here, which really goes to show David's popularity. He did a great show, and afterward I grabbed dinner with Sarah, Francina, and her friend, and even got to meet up with a very drunk Austin from Sovereign Novels, who also lives in Atlanta. It's actually thanks to meeting them that we started the Harry Potter and the Virgins read-along. It's almost 1 a.m. and I just got back to my hotel room. My brain definitely stopped working after we wrapped up filming for David's episode. I was just staring at him the whole time and thinking about how surreal it was that I was this close to David and sitting right next to him. Even though yesterday I was talking about how, oh my God, what the fuck? I taught David the phrase, Asian don't raisin. And if he writes that in a future essay of his, I will be very proud. I also made him laugh a couple of times. It's just those little things that make me think maybe I didn't do a terrible job. That's the bar that we're hitting. The showrunners told us that David kept on saying that he really enjoyed talking to us, which at first I was like, I'm sure he says that for every interview that he has to do. But the publicist pointed out that even though our filming ran over an extra 30 minutes, she still let him talk to us because she could tell that he was having a good time. So I'm glad that he enjoyed the experience because I definitely did. Tomorrow I am gonna grab lunch with Sarah, and then after that I'm gonna try to see if I can meet up with Austin if they are free. And then I am gonna fly back to Norfolk, and once I fly back to Norfolk, I will have my last day at my work, and then I have to move to San Francisco, so it's gonna be a very, very strange sequence of events for the next 2 weeks. Hey, remember when eating out at restaurants and making new friends was a thing? Man, oh man, were they simpler times. Anyway, this is the last clip I have from my trip before I flew back and moved on with the rest of my life. So I apologize for not having much of a transition. I didn't want to end this video right here, so what I'm gonna do instead is unbox my YouTube play button. When I was filming this episode, I had 50,000 subscribers, but then not long after that, I hit 100K, which means that I am a recipient of the YouTube play button award thingy that they give. I had been procrastinating on opening the box, and you can tell because I have like 175K now. here is the award. Oh wow, there's like a mirror. Oh my god, that's peak narcissism right there. Now you can see that I am propping my phone on 2 bottles of gummy vitamins. Presented to Read with Cindy for passing 100,000 subscribers. I don't know if I want to look at myself when I look at this award. If I tilt it just right, it starts to dazzle. I actually don't know where I'm going to put this because right now I am sharing a house with another person and they don't know that I film YouTube videos. I still am avoiding telling anyone in my real life that I have a YouTube channel. At this point, it doesn't even matter if I hit 1 million subscribers. I'm still going to keep this shit a secret. So if you're watching this right now, you better keep your mouth shut. No one can know my shame about posting videos about books online like a fucking nerd. But this is still cool. So if you are subscribed, thank you, even though I tell you all the time not to. Obviously, you don't listen, but this baby is so strong. So there's a reason why I have been putting off unwrapping this 100K award. I've been thinking a lot about my privilege lately. As you can tell by me holding a giant ass shiny award, I think part of me rejects the idea of being a YouTuber because just the whole idea of making money off of this comes from so much privilege. So something that I think about is how can I be less of a privileged asshole? One of the things I wanted to do this year was volunteer more. Obviously that couldn't happen because now we are all under quarantine. Something that I will do instead is donate to a couple of charities using a combination of my Twitter salary and the ad revenue and sponsorships that I get from YouTube. My plan is to send $1,000 to a pro-trans charity, and this is in response to J.K. Rowling supporting a lot of transphobic ideologies. I started reading Harry Potter for the first time this year. I want to donate the profits that I get from those videos into a pro-trans charity instead. I will also be sending another $1,000 to the Quileute tribe. This is in response to Stephanie Meyer releasing a new Twilight book. I've never read Twilight and I'm not interested in participating in any of the online discourse, but there's been a lot of arguments about she appropriated this indigenous tribe. And I noticed that this specific tribe is currently raising funds to try to move to a safer place. So I'll be sending $1,000 to them. I'm gonna be donating $1,000 to a Black Lives Matter charity. I personally don't feel comfortable just tweeting about every single time a Black person dies from the police, so I would rather just donate to those charities. And lastly, I found a specific relief fund for immigrants and displaced workers. They are specifically people who are not able to receive government funds because of their immigrant status. I will link the details to all of these charities in the description. The money is basically a combination of my regular job at Twitter, my ad revenue from my second job with YouTube, and my sponsorships, including this one. This video is being sponsored by Raycon earbuds. Oh. Here it is. This company was founded by Ray J. There are a lot of celebrities like Snoop Dogg and Cardi B who wear these types of earbuds. They offer wireless earbuds in a range of fun colors and patterns. They're super comfortable and come in a variety of fit options. These start at about half the price of any other premium earbuds on the market. They have a little compact carrying case for you to charge your earbuds. Their newest model, which is the everyday E25 earbuds, are the best ones yet because they have 6 hours of playtime. They have seamless Bluetooth pairing. They have more bass, and there's just a more compact design that gives you a nice noise isolating fit. If you click on the link in my description below, you can get 15% off of your first order. Oh shit. Okay, my phone is already falling off of my vitamin gummies, so I think this would be a good chance to say thanks for watching. If you made it this far, check out the charities that I've linked in the description if you are also interested in donating. Otherwise, just watching these videos will help out too. So yeah, anyway, bye.
I don't wanna be alone.